Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we are doing the crossword for Thursday, April 24th, 2025. So, just 4 days away from the Canadian election.
And the start of the NFL draft today.
Right? Not sure if they're entirely comparable, but okay. Did you do the crossword?
I did do the crossword.
And did you find it drafty?
It was probably as exciting as the NFL draft, which is going on in Northeast Wisconsin.
Yes, indeed. Green Bay, to be precise.
Yes,
As we speak.
Just down the road.
Yep.
Or up the road, I guess. But, I didn't find it drafty, but I found it a pretty good challenge. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I figured out the theme pretty quickly.
Yes. Where did you figure out the theme?
I figured it out. I think it was. I want to say it was at 35 across.
35 across. Mm-hmm. That being.
Being Ladybird and Stand By Me. So perhaps we should talk about the theme.
Okay.
The theme involved clues that were italicized, so you knew they were the theme clues, but they were two different movies or television shows, mostly movies. But anyway, they were similar in one respect. And you had to figure out what that was, and that was the answer. But it wasn't just the answer to that clue, because you also found several clues that were just dashes, which meant that, that's a continuation of some other clue. And they were always toward the end of the themed clues. So, for example, number 1 across was Interview with the Vampire and Prince of Thorns. And the answer to that was a dark fantasy. But 1 across only had 5 squares. So you could put in the D-A-R-K, and then 5 down was a dash. So you could write F-A-N-T-A-S-Y down. So you had dark fantasy. And that's what those two movies are. Okay? And then 6 across was Borat, and This Is Spinal Tap. And the answer to that was mockumentary, instead of documentary, mockumentary. And you could fit mockumen in the clue, 6 across, but the last square was 13 down, and you could finish the N-T-A-R-Y down the edge there. Mm-hmm. So that was the theme. When we had dark fantasy, we had mockumentary. Where I found it was at 35 across, which was Ladybird or Stand By Me, and those are both coming of age films, and you could get COMINGO in 35 across, and the O was at 38 down, and that was the of age.
Right.
So it was a mind bender there. You had to figure out where to go next with the answers to the theme clues. So anyway.
Don't forget the revealer.
The reveal. Oh yes, the revealer.
51 down.
Was also a bendy one.
Yes.
51 down, which ran into 71 across. And that was mixing, 51 down, mixing thematic elements and tropes, or a feature of this puzzle. And the answer to that was genre bending. And you could get a genre down, 51 down, and then 71 across. You had the E of genre and the bending, filling out the rest of that answer.
Right.
So, yep.
And there was one more. There was 46 down.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Downton Abbey and Shogun.
Right.
And that was period piece.
Yes. 46 down and 72 across.
Well, I got this at 6 across with the mockumentary. By the way, I believe that Mockumen is going to be a new series from Marvel.
Oh, yeah?
Here comes Mockumen. Their superpowers, they make fun of other people. Anyways, I got that at mockumentary, and like what has happened to me in multiple times in the past, I'll get the theme and understand it, but then it turns out I still can't solve the puzzle.
Oh dear.
And I ran into a major problem in the bottom left corner.
Oh.
Which, as usual, it's, I start to fill out the crossword, then as more and more letters come in, you get to go faster and faster, and then run into a brick wall. And my brick wall was down there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's really because I've run into a brick wall, or it's just because, by the time it's like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, some of the neurons are deciding to shut down for the evening.
Definitely.
Or it could also be that my brain decides this is going to be too easy. Let me make you forget a few words for a while. Because there were first of all, there was the revealer mixing thematic elements and tropes, or a feature of this puzzle. I'm like, I don't know where to start there.
Yeah.
And then the one next to it, 52 down, Dave Blank, 7-time All-Star pitcher for the Blue Jays. I'm like, okay, moving right along. We had 53 down, Mr. Reed to Jane Eyre. Eyre, thank you. And I had the second letter as N because 58 across was reasonable. Mythical forge location, Etna. So I had the second letter as being an N. I thought, oh, it's in-law.
No. No.
As opposed to the correct answer of uncle.
Uncle.
Have you read that?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Several times,
So
actually.
Really?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so you had a slight advantage there. And then, also in the middle of that, 62 across, the brilliant second calling clue. That turned out to be nickname.
Yes, that was a clever clue. I like that.
And then even 63 down, subject of Homer's loathing on The Simpsons. I'm like, really? Why don't they throw in something? Why don't they throw in a foreign food or something in Spanish just about here? Because it was like the author of this really good crossword, Kathleen Duncan, found all my weak points and threw them into a corner.
All in that corner.
And I don't know how I was able to solve it. I was able to solve it, not knowing anything in that corner, except I think I was able to see the word name. And because, like, for the 62 across, for the second calling, I thought it was going to be, I thought it was call back or maybe dial back. I don't know. I was flailing there. And then eventually I cleared out enough so I could see, it could be name. And then it's like, nickname. That would be your second calling. Haha. And so then I had that N established. Also 51 across, Atlanta School. Well, since I had it ending in an I because of the in-law, I was trying to think of us. I think in Atlanta, I think that's Georgia. And I was thinking it was something to do with Georgia, and indeed it was GSU.
Georgia State.
But of course, you already had the U from uncle.
Yes, so I figured. And I remembered that picture. I couldn't remember his last name, but I kind of thought it started with an S.
Really?
And so once I got the U, I thought, well, it's something SU. And since it was Atlanta, I thought, well, it's got to be GSU. So.
See, that was the only one. That was the only letter of the three that I knew. And honestly, I had no idea who Dave Stibe is, or however that's even pronounced. Yeah. But, so I'm sure I took 30 minutes to get to about almost done, and then probably another 25 minutes to get to done. But it was worth it. It was great.
Yep, it was. It was a very good puzzle.
Did a little fist bump after I'd finished. We had a few. There were some good clues in here. We had like 11 down. That was like some socks and chess players mated.
Mated, yes.
And then the one next to it, return to a PC keyboard, ? That was enter.
Right.
Because, of course, on a Mac, it's return, and on a PC, it's enter. And then we had the clue next to it, entery. No, I'm sorry, that's part of mockumentary.
Yes.
One that I just leapt on, was very pleased with myself, 22 across. That being noted criminal extradited to the U.S. in 2017. I thought, it's got to be El Chapo.
Yes, that was about the first one I filled
really?
out. Yeah. So, El Chapo.
El Chapo.
I remember when he was captured.
Yeah. I don't know how he's doing. He's apparently still stuck in the crossword. For 33 across, the answer was dither. And I thought you dither when you sort of go back and forth between things. But in this case, dither was tizzy.
Right.
Sort of vaguely upset about things.
Well, if you're in a tizzy, it's like you don't know what to do.
Right.
This or that. So,
I suppose, yeah.
Kind of either or situation.
40 across, I didn't distinguish myself while trying to solve. Bundle of paper or grain. I thought, oh, it's like sheath. Mm-hmm. But it was sheaf.
What did you think it was?
Sheath. SHEATH. A sheath of paper.
Oh, sheath. A
sheath.
Sheath of paper. No.
I don't know if a sheath of paper is a thing.
I don't think you can have a sheath of paper.
No, because you wind up spraying all over the place when you say it. And so people said, we're going to ban that word. It will be sheaf.
Sheath.
Yeah, sheaf with an F. Mm-hmm. Hard to say.
I like 2 down. I thought that was rather clever. Verb that sounds like a number and is a letter backward.
Yes.
8.
And then backwards it was eta. They didn't say it was an English letter.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that was quite good. Mm-hmm. And then we had potato turnover was a knish. That was another gimme for me. Let's see. Overly big was obese. That isn't quite where I was expecting that clue to go, but that's where it went.
Yep.
And 1 of 10 in a millennium, abra, was sen.
Right.
I had to...
For centuries.
You had to noodle that one out, too. 61 down was floating mass, and I thought it was going to be algae.
Oh.
So I had ALGA.
I put aisle first, which really isn't a floating mass.
No.
I thought, well, it's in water, and I guess it's floating. So.
Well, I think that algae might have an E on the end. That's one of those hard to spell words, but I was willing to jettison it to get it to fit.
Well, then, I thought it could be flow, like an ice flow.
That's true. And you were getting closer to the right answer of berg.
Right. Mm-hmm. And yeah, because 60 across, that was the first letter, that was get. And I didn't have anything for a long time, and I finally put attain. You get something, you attain something. But then that really messed up 55 down, which was people celebrated worldwide on March 8th, which is International Women's Day. So that was woman. So I had no there, and then I thought, it's got to be obtain.
Obtain. Yes, indeed.
And that's when berg started to look really good for 61 down.
And right underneath that, objects that gather lather, or items that gather lather, and that was loofahs.
Loofahs, yes.
I thought that was pretty good. Mm-hmm. So yes, this was a fine crossword, even though my streak just about died in the bottom left corner. Uh-oh. But not quite, thanks to Nickname. Nickname to my rescue. All right, and then again, that was by Kathleen Duncan. Well done.
Yes.
But feel free to go a little bit easier the next time you do that northwest or southwest corner.
Spread those ones we don't know around a little more.
Just sprinkle them about the grid. Don't let them just sort of, sit in one place. All right, we have a little bit of listener mail before we wrap it up.
Okay.
This is from Gregory, and he writes in to say, I was totally surprised to hear my name is winner. Thank you. And then he goes on to tell his shirt size, which in the interest of confidentiality, we will not read here. But yes, I think everybody who wins any contest is always surprised. But somebody has to win, and congratulations, Gregory. We are so glad that it was you this time.
Yes, we are.
And a former winner wrote in to say, hello, Gene and Mike. This is from Jesse. I'm sorry to say I didn't write in for the Triplet Tuesday this time, as I'm already a proud owner of a JNMDTNYTC t-shirt. I'm catching up on episodes today after being away for the holiday. Hope you had a good holiday, Jesse. And heard Mike's advice to participate in the Super Bowl, even if you've already won. Technically, I believe that was Andy Reid's suggestion, he being the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'll surely do so for all future contests. I'm embarrassed to say I got a pretty lousy 8 that last round anyway.
Well, better than me.
It happens. Congrats to Gregory on the win, and to Mike for a perfect 3 this week. Oh, I'm still basking in that. Hope you treat yourself to some Northeast Wisconsin swag. Oh, good point. I don't think I'm allowed to raid the coffers. And that was Jess from Connecticut.
Very good.
All right. Well,
Good to
thank
hear
you.
from you both.
Yes, indeed. And for anyone else who wants to say hi, please do so. crosswordpodcast@icloud.com.
Yes.
That is it for today. We'll be back again with our cutting edge analysis of Friday's crossword tomorrow.
Bye-bye.